Welcome back, guys, to another episode of the Outdoor Builders Podcast. I'm your host, Daniel Aviles, and we have Bruno Freitas here again. You know, hope you guys don't get tired of looking at our faces.
No, yeah. I have a lot of people thanking me. Oh, thanks. This is helping us a lot. But thank you, Daniel. You know, you do always great. And,
Yeah.
We're here just trying to help people, man.
Man, this is fun. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not only fun, it's also educational, and I know it helps a ton of people.
It does. It does. And we do get compliment all the time by all the episodes that we recorded already. Or I don't even know how many episodes we have already. But it's like, I like doing this. I look forward to do this, you know. Every week when we were here recording, it just helps me look back and see everything that I went through in order to get to the position that I'm at today. And it's, if I can help people, dude, avoid the mistakes that I did, that's the goal, right? This is why we're doing this right here.
So, we got a question.
Okay.
Okay. And I get this asked a lot when I do consultations and, in the Bay Area, I get asked this question a lot. Typically, we try to steer them towards pavers, right?
I think I know what you're going to ask.
For different reasons. Yeah.
You know what I like? It's like, it's so natural. Like, I already know what you're going to talk about. But yeah.
So, we always get concrete versus pavers, right? And we always flip it in regards to, hey, let's do pavers because of X, Y, and Z, and right? Because it benefits us.
Yes.
Now, let me ask you, let's look at the other side of the coin. Let's look at why you as a contractor or as a homeowner would choose concrete over pavers.
If you're a cheap person.
Value driven.
Okay.
Not cheap.
Right,
let's not, know.
Let's not that. Okay, maybe you can't afford it. Let's put it like that.
Okay.
Maybe you can't afford it doing pavers, and the only option you have is concrete, right? And I do both. Like, we do both.
Yeah.
There is nothing against concrete, nothing against pavers. But when I'm a homeowner and I look at what's the difference between concrete and pavers? Concrete, it's not the question of if it's going to crack. The question is like when it's going to crack.
Yeah.
It could be the next day. We have poured concrete where it cracked the same day. And the homeowner's like, oh my gosh, you guys did a cheap stuff. And I'm like, listen, we're just the contractors. Yeah. We're just the company laying something that we purchased from a third party. A concrete company is making that concrete, it's mixing everything, and we're just installing the concrete. Of course, we got to follow the standards, minimum about 3.5, 4 inches for patios, and then, 6 inches, 8 inches, whatever agreement he had with the homeowner. But I recommend don't do any concrete less than 3.5, 4 inches. Don't do less than that, otherwise it's going to crack so easy. Now, the other cracks that we see daily, those are just superficial cracks, right? It's like a hairline. And homeowners go crazy when they see that stuff. And it's like, what do we try to educate our customers even before we go to the project? Is saying, listen, you can go with concrete. You're going to get this whole area covered. But if you don't mind seeing cracks, then go with concrete. Now, if you're a person that's very picky, you don't want to see a line. You don't want to see like a hairline on cracking, then do pavers, right? Because pavers, we guarantee you 20-year warranty on the material. That's backing up by Belgard, Calstone, all those companies that we buy the products from. Concrete, man, again, we're just the contractors. We're not the ones mixing everything. Yeah. And homeowners want to blame on us. Oh, you never excavated deep enough. Oh, you never did this. And luckily for the thankfully, I'm very thankful for the smartphone that we take pictures of every step of the way. So we have pictures of everything. We have the rebars. We have the space of the rebars. We have everything there. So whenever homeowner goes back to us and like, hey, the concrete crack, well, read your contract. We don't warranty any concrete, especially here. We have ground movements every single day. So how can I guarantee that a concrete's not going to crack? That is not a company out there that's doing that knows that concrete cracks. If there's someone, homeowners, if there's someone out there that came over to your house and they said, I guarantee you the concrete's not going to crack, be careful. Because that person doesn't know what they're talking about. And I know this by experience. I have laid myself, with the business, of course, over 2 million square feet of concrete. So maybe 1 or 2 of them haven't cracked in the last 5-10 years. But I'll tell you this, it will crack at one point, right? So it's no way it's going to last a lifetime without cracking. So concrete will always crack. Pavers will never crack.
So when should a homeowner look at concrete over pavers? I know you mentioned cost, right?
Yeah.
So maybe if I am doing a investment property or a rental property or Airbnb, it may not benefit me to do pavers,
check
right?
this out. Like, concrete can also bring beauty to the yard. Like,
Yeah.
don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to scare you. Don't do concrete because it's gonna crack. I'm just trying to alert you. If you're the type of person that wants to make sure that concrete doesn't crack, I'm sorry, don't do concrete because otherwise you're gonna freak out. But if you want something that can look nice, we do a lot of designs. We do stamped concrete. We do washed concrete, aggregated exposed. There's so many pebble finish. There's so many finishes out there today that you can do with the concrete, color concrete. And maybe your designer wants to do something very specific that is not in the paver industry. Maybe that is not a stone or a type of shape that your designer put it for you that exists. So the only way you can make that is print it, right? So you do stamped concrete. So you pour the concrete. That is the right time for you to put the stamp forms, the silicone-based forms that we use, and then we'll pound it down, and then that print that's in the form sticks to the concrete, right? So that's stamped concrete. So the cases where when I suggest my clients to do that, and I use concrete is when the design you want, the type of colors and all this, it does not exist inside the paver industry. So the only way we can do this is by creating our own printing to what you want. So essentially, that client becomes the only person that have that specific print into their driveway or backyard, right? So customizes stuff.
Customizability,
Yeah.
flexibility of the material,
Yeah.
right? Because we've done concrete, let's say benches and sitting areas
Yep.
and
Underground, the fire pits, a bunch of those things.
yeah, sunken in stuff,
Yes.
like all of that stuff is available thanks to concrete, right?
Yes.
If it were to be made in pavers, it would be a lot more
It
expensive.
would cost you
right?
more, yes.
Yeah, because it's more time.
Exactly.
Right?
With the concrete, you install the forms, the rebars in there, and then you just pour it, you do the finish, and that's it. With the blocks, you got to cut individually.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes they don't have the right size block, and then you got to make your own. It's like a lot more work in order for you to do that.
Cool. Now, what if we are talking a different element? Let's say we're talking retaining walls, right? There are retaining walls made out of pavers and retaining walls made out of concrete or cinder block or something like that. When would you choose the concrete over the paver for a retaining wall?
Oh, that's a good question. So, right now we're doing a job in San Jose. The guy wanted to do with blocks, right? And then I was like, hey, brother, I'm glad that you want to do the job with us. But we're talking about 400 to 500 feet of a hill behind his house where he wants to build the blocks. Mm-hmm. So it's like, I understand you want to do this. The retaining wall with the nice piers and rebars will be able to handle the weight of the hill better than doing blocks. And this is going to be cheaper to you than doing with blocks. And the reason why is I don't want my guys carrying freaking 120-pound blocks up the hill because there's no access to tractors or anything like that. Instead of that, I rather them just carrying the 16-foot long boards like 2x4s, 2x12s, whatever we're using to build the forms, up the hill, which is much lighter. And also, whenever it comes down to installing the concrete, I can just pump the concrete up the hill. Much easier.
You just run the hose
less
up
of
there
stress.
and call it a day.
So it's like I save time because time is money. The guy is not overstressed and overwhelmed and tired with all the care, all the weight carrying throughout the whole day, and also will be able to finish much faster, and then the finish quality is going to be very even the same. Now this is a particular client where they're like, well, but I want to have the block looks into my wall. No problem. We also do printing on walls, so that way whenever we're doing the forms. We make sure that we install inside the form the silicone base with the type of finish that the homeowner wants. Have you seen the freeway when you drive by?
Yeah.
Looks like natural rock. So yeah, we can do the same thing. So It depends on the homeowner, depends on what kind of style they want. We can definitely do it. The only reason why I would change from blocks to concrete in this case, it is if that situation, it's much simpler for us to do with concrete.
So as a contractor, guys, if you guys are listening, right?
You
also have to be smart because you
smart.
also have to be aware of installation techniques for both, right? When would one save you time and money over the other, right? Like if everything was flat, easy accessible, then I don't think there's much of a difference, right? But if your access issues or, right, we're in San Francisco a lot where there's no side yard, we have to go through the garage.
Through the house,
right? Like we don't want to be lugging pavers in from the street.
So look at this. Not only about, making our guys super tired, but also if a block like that drops inside someone's home, It's on us.
Yeah.
So our liability, liability comes in and people want to file a complaint and whatever, right? So avoid problems like that. Good thing here in San Francisco, there's a lot of concrete pumps in the crane. So we use them sometimes. They come with a crane that goes over the house, so that way we don't have to run the concrete hose through the house. So it's over the house, and then we're pouring concrete, no touching, nothing, through the house. And all the protection inside the house, all the, you got to be careful.
The liability.
Oh, my God.
Oh,
man.
my God.
But it's like people is willing to pay. I'm willing to pay what it costs. So those are the type of clients we're looking for.
Because in San Francisco, there are a lot of zero-line properties, as they call
it's
it.
like
and
all
you're
the houses
going
like
through
this.
the family room down the flight of steps, and if you're carrying wheelbarrows or anything, you're liable to
anything that happens in there.
damage anything at home.
Yeah.
Another thing to consider, I never considered, right, before I joined this industry, is also when we're doing concrete, there are fixed costs, right? So if it is a small square footage, typically, right, the cost per square foot goes up over pavers because there are fixed costs like the truck, the pump, and all that stuff,
And I like
right?
to talk about this, right? I posted a thing yesterday about that. Why does a small job cost more per square foot than bigger jobs? This is a really good thing that a lot of people don't know. Why do we charge more? The reason why is the same cost that I'm going to have by transporting my excavator and my tractors to a job site to do a 400 or 500 square feet, it is the same cost that I can knock out 1,000 square feet in the same day. So the cost of being there is the same, right? It doesn't really change. Now, the size of the job does change, but the cost is already there. There's nothing I can do. Well, I only did 800 square feet, so it's going to cost me less to transport my truck and my equipment to the job site. There's nothing we can do to prevent that from happening. So yesterday or the day before, I started at 3:30 in the morning, right? This is the type of things that no one sees it, right? Starting at 3:30 in the morning, this guy's crazy, right?
Only if you follow Bruno, the outdoor builder, on Instagram, you see it.
Yes. Follow Bruno, the outdoor builder, on Instagram. You're going to see it. How my day is so crazy, right? So I started 3:30 in the morning. It was about 2 hours away from my house, the job site, right, in Carmel. I got there at 6 a.m. First truck showed up at 6:30. So check this out. We poured 82 yards or 80 yards of concrete in the same day, right? Not a lot of people can pull this off.
I was going to say
Not a lot of people can pull this off.
For those who don't know, that's impressive.
That's a lot of concrete, right? We're talking about almost 5,000 square feet worth of a driveway. Now, I had 14 guys on the job site and then 3 helpers. So, and me and my assistant. Well, I had like 19 people at this job site. So if all that cost of a single day, it's not calculated inside the whole scope of work, you're losing money, right? So the quick breakdown on this is like directly cost was about 25, 30K. And then we have the overhead and, the concrete cost and all that. So everything at the door is about 40, 42. We charge the client 80. So, you made $40,000 in a day? Not necessarily. There's a lot of things that comes in place that you don't see it, right? But the whole picture is this: preparing yourself and having the right equipment and at the job site can really help you save money and finish the job fast. So if I were to say, I'm going to do in 2 days this pour, this is what I'm trying to illustrate here. It would have cost me more because now, I only had 6 guys today and then 6 guys tomorrow doing finish. It's the same cost. No, my pump is going to cost me more. I have bridge. I have to drive all the vehicles back there again. And I have, all the overhead that I'm not counting, right? So instead of me spend 2 days to do something that I could do in one, I rather just start super early in the morning and knock it out in the same day. And that's what we've done it. So now we're able to help the company increase about 8 to 9% on the profit, just because of that one little thing. So plan ahead, prepare, schedule your concrete days before, weeks before, have everything ready and line up and try to execute it as fast as you can with less cost as much as you can, right? So that's one thing that I did.
Let me ask you a couple questions here on the spot. I'm going to put you on the spot.
Sure, go for it.
Just so people know, we don't pre-plan these questions, that you fire these off as we get them, or, from the top of my head. But is there a break-even point for you in regards to this many square feet? Like 500 square feet or below, it's always going to be more expensive to pour concrete, for example, over pavers. Is there a certain threshold where you say this amount of work or this amount of square footage is where I try to push the customer as a contractor one way or the other?
So in terms of, we do have our minimum, right? So our
Yeah.
minimum in the business cost, it's already because of that right there. That's the only reason why we have a minimum. Our overhead's always going to be the same in terms of like if we're doing concrete, if we're doing pavers, right? What's the difference is the final product. Concrete's going to be cheaper, of course, than pavers. And the labor to install, concrete's going to be cheaper than the labor to install pavers. Where do I determine that I should have people doing pavers or I should have people doing concrete? Again, it's whenever I see that the access is not that great, whenever I see that, like, I think the concrete's going to be faster than doing pavers here. You get those houses where it's uphill, San Francisco, you got to go through the house. So it's like I'm always looking to time. What is it that I can do in this particular job that's going to save me time? It's not even the revenue. That is jobs that I told the guy, you know what, you're going to do pavers and all this, that's great. But like you could do the side yard with concrete, you can do this with concrete. It's going to help you save money and it's going to help me save even more money, right?
Yeah.
Because so imagine this. I can have the same guys laying 500 square feet of concrete and I can have the same guys laying 500 square feet of pavers all in one day, okay, even, okay. Cost for pavers more, cost for concrete less. But then what is the things that people don't see here is like, what's the overhead on the concrete? You have a pump that you got to make sure that the guy's there early. You pay the pump guy, you have the labor to lay the concrete, and that's pretty much it. You finish and done. Pavers, you lay all the pavers, but then you got to make sure there is enough room for pallets. You got to make sure there is enough room for you to storage them in the front of the driveway or on the street, right? You got to make sure there is like enough space so you can dump some sand because you got to bring the sand in first and then you got to grade it. So the time of doing pavers will always take longer than the time of doing concrete, but not all of concrete. And at the break-even point for me on a regular flat driveway is 6,000 square feet. Whenever you can't pour at one pour your whole area, that's not worth anymore. Pavers will be cheaper, believe it or not.
Wow.
So pavers will be cheaper whenever you have an area where it's going to take you more than a day to lay the concrete. So you do pavers, that's going to be cheaper. So our break-even points based on our calculations and numbers is 6,000 square feet. So anything above that, concrete gets more expensive than pavers.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's great knowledge, guys.
Yeah.
Like that.
I mean, that's my industry, right?
Yeah,
Maybe somewhere else in the U.S., it's cheaper, right?
Yeah.
Then
Because that's all dependent on overhead,
depends on the region.
labor,
Yeah.
and cost of material,
and then
all that stuff, right?
California, you have all this fees, environmental fees, and all this like nonsense fee.
Yeah.
You call in the dispatch, and hey, how much is a concrete per yard? Oh, it's $180, $170. All right, great. Send me a 10 yard, and then you pay the tag. It's $2,000. Like, well, you told me 180. Oh yeah, but there is this and that and that and that and that. And there's the yard's not 180. It's actually 210, right?
Another question contractors are probably waiting to hear. And if
Okay.
you want to wait and share this until the master class, I understand. And what do you feel is more profitable? Concrete work or paver work?
If you're inside the concrete world, you do make a lot of money, but you have not yet discovered the secret of pavers. There is a secret in the paver industry that not a lot of people know. And I can't wait to share this with you inside the masterclass. So if you wanna know how we got to 8-figure a year, just doing this hardscape and landscape, concrete too, but like majority of stones and pavers, people are willing to pay for beauty. And a lot of contractors out there, they want to just speed up, let's do concrete. I'll just give you this one tip. I have sold concrete $25, $30 a square foot for our market. A lot of people in other places in the US, they're going for $9, $10 a square foot, right? So it's like $30 a foot, normal.
Yeah.
I have sold pavers at $100 a foot. And people are like, oh, you're screwing people up. No, it's just because I was able to deliver a dream that someone was expecting. I promised them that I could do exactly how they thought. And that's it. People are willing to pay for beauty. People are willing to pay to have their dreams come true. When people talk about concrete, they always say it's just concrete. Just do it, whatever. It's just concrete. With us, it's like we're building a dream out of stones. Like we're building something very unique that you're going to have this unique design, this unique backyard that no one else have, only you. Concrete is just concrete. That's what people keep saying. That's
All
it.
right. Thank you very much. Very informative podcast. Hope you guys think that as well.
Yeah.
And thank you for joining us, and we'll catch you guys next week.
Let's go. Next one. See you guys.